Everybody loves a parade, Mike. Everybody loves a parade.
Okay, I know where we're going now.
Except for this one. Except for this one.
Yeah.
There was a parade yesterday.
Really?
A big, beautiful, magnificent parade.
It was bigger than any parade that ever existed on the earth.
All other parades pale in comparison.
The most magnificent.
we bigly did a parade. Trump finally got his military parade. I mean, he's wanted it forever.
Yeah.
He's wanted it forever, and he finally got it. And depending on who you listen to, it was either the greatest thing and show of force the earth has ever known, or it was a massive flop and an embarrassing display. I don't know if you saw any of the pictures, but of course, as we seem to love to do with the Orange Ones events, just pictures upon pictures upon pictures of empty stands and the National Mall being nowhere near filled. Some of these were time-stamped like at 7 o'clock, like well after it was supposed to start.
Yeah.
But they also reported that it started a half hour early because they were trying to beat the rain. There was rain coming and they decided to start early, and like tens of thousands of people were supposedly waiting in line in the security queues, getting into the area.
Oh, they got security now.
We have security now.
Oh, now. Oh, okay. Because I remember January 6th.
A couple years ago, we didn't.
I didn't. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, well, that's what's up.
Yeah, it's back to blue again.
Oh,
it's back. Yeah, we're back in the blue again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's
gotcha.
Now, yeah. But I mean, my feelings are the same as they always were. And they actually echo the feelings of his own administration and his own generals in his first term, and anybody that has any sanity but really doesn't have a voice in this term. And that is, America doesn't do military parades just for the sake of it to show force. They've been done before, limited, but he is mimicking the behavior of people who feel that they need to prove their prowess. And I mean, it was supposed to be a celebration of the Army's 250th birthday, which, by the way, happy birthday.
Absolutely.
To all of the brave men and women who have served in the United States Army in particular.
Yep.
But it turned into something else. And so what were your thoughts on just the whole idea of a military parade?
I believe rather than giving any type of parade, anyone, and again, I tried to serve my ASVAB. They was like, you need to come back again. you ain't quite get it, but we see some potential, so you come on back. But my point being is that if you really want to celebrate any of our men and women who are in service, how about we not shut down VA hospitals?
Listen,
how about we give them better pay? How about we give them other benefits, any type of health care, any type of thank you so much.
Housing,
your
mental
housing,
health care,
you know what I mean?
suicide prevention.
All of those things, all of the things that will actually make a bigger impact.
Sexual assault in the military, all the things.
From here on out, not a one-time...
I got an idea.
That's it.
How about you send Doge to the military and cut down the wasteful spending that exists with military contractors and the people who enrich themselves with just, $300 bottles of lotion and all this craziness that we want our soldiers to be well equipped, but we don't want our armed forces to be exploited. And, I don't know why they haven't sent Doge over to their offices to see what the Pentagon might be wasting money on. I mean, that would probably be far more helpful.
Listen, I was watching Fox News this morning, and I heard what had happened was it was meant to be via internet. It wasn't set up
what was meant to be via internet.
The whole parade.
The whole parade.
Yeah, they wanted people to watch online
so that they could kind of curate the experience.
That was
make them
excuse.
see. But I mean, you can't. I mean, the media was going to catch it. That drone was going to catch. Something.
That was their excuse though, because wasn't nobody there. They was just trying.
It was going to be broadcast.
They was
but
trying to
there was never going to be a parade as a part of the Army's original plans for festivities. They were going to do, like a festival style situation with, and they were going to put out, vehicles for people to, just like you've had the, police and fire department visit a neighborhood and let the people see, and probably historic, displays, like almost like bring the museum outside kind of a thing. But because it was the Orange One's 79th birthday, he wanted to tie in his personal greatness to the event and eventually overshadowed. The only saving grace I can say is that he, at least for the first time in his life, somewhat, kind of, sort of, didn't politicize the moment in his speech. And he gave a shorter speech than normal and didn't kind of go into the same ranting and ravings that even just the other week he had done at Fort Bragg, where he was literally selling MAGA hats on the base, which is illegal.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're not supposed to do any politicizing, any political speeches, any bashing of other people on Army bases, and he did it anyway. So this time, I think at least some people got the message to him that he wouldn't do it. But I did see some clips that saw that no matter what, most of the people left when it was time for him to make his speech. They were walking out. So
yeah,
they were just there to see the tanks.
They were just there to see the tanks.
Right.
We came for the tanks.
Right. And I can imagine that whatever high generals that he does happen to listen to, that might have probably been a make or break for them.
Right.
To say, well, if you're going to do it,
It's
this
gotta
is
be
your
like
speech.
this. Yeah.
Make it nice and tight.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're blown. We're going to tell it like it is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And I think, and we need that. And I mean, the last thing we need is one guy, because we really haven't had this, exercising that kind of power where they sort of meld the military with themselves, because that is literally what you call a military dictatorship, a military government that our country has never really been.
Right.
I feel bad that we're at this point because this man has definitely surrounded him with yes men. And the story is that the people that would have pushed back in previous administrations have all been purged. And so he's definitely got an entire crew of people who are just going to, go his way. I just want to kind of touch on this. Two other significant things happened, but, before we dive in fully, there was the No King demonstrations.
11 million people.
Did they say 11 million people participated?
Yeah.
Is that what they're saying?
10 and some change, yeah.
Now, we might be getting somewhere. And the assassination of public servants in Minnesota. I mean, these are really, I said it today, these are unprecedented times. I mean, they killed one who was just the most recent House Speaker in Minnesota and severely wounded another and his wife. I don't know what to make of this, man. I mean, do you think this is going to be ongoing, or do you think this might be a wake-up call for the rhetoric?
I believe they'll continue to allow it to happen, being that if they really wanted to be able to make a change, they would have stepped up by now. I'd love to know, where are all the evangelicals?
The pro-life people.
The ones that...
Pro-life.
Exactly.
Yeah, pro-life. Except for you being shot.
Right.
Except for you being shot.
So to me, I believe they're, even that side of it, they're all scared as well, because there's a group of idiots that he can weaponize against whoever. Yeah. And I believe that's why, like, the likes of DeSantis stepped down and so on and so forth, because his own personal militia started targeting other people, even up under the umbrella of the Republican Party. So what happened is that you've now let this beast go, and no one can tame him.
No one can tame him. That you were literally in with my remarks today. I off the cuff just started to talk, and I've tried not to go too far deep into this, but exactly what you said. When your own loyal party, who basically bends to you with just about everything, are feeling just as threatened of going against you as your opponents and people who might be ideologically different feel, because they fear retribution from the mob, because they're being doxxed. For those that don't know, that's basically false reports being made at their homes that basically bring SWAT teams to people's houses, or their information is of their families and children, addresses being exposed online, threats being made in your own party. If you dare to even speak against even the most egregious things that everybody knows, just would be inappropriate for anybody in any party, that's a dangerous place to be. And I don't know. And so here's something I read a while back, not to belabor this point, but here's something I read a while back. I even know it because I'm a documentary guy. I love history. There have been times where there were like bombings every week in America. If you're familiar with the protests of the 60s and the 70s, between the Black Panther stuff, and I'm talking even beyond civil rights, the Black Panther, what they call it, the Weatherman or Weathervane, it was like a group. They were like a domestic terrorist group, white folks, some black folk. I mean, and they were really like bombing stuff. The American Indians, I mean, there was like a standoff, and I don't mean to say Indians, but Native Americans in the 70s, they were having standoffs in courthouses and stuff. I mean, there was the bombing in Philadelphia. Of those that won't remember there was like a stronghold, Black Panthers and some others, and they bombed and firebombed a whole city block, trying to take out one house. So what I'm saying is, I even said it, these are unprecedented times, but is it really? You know what I mean? Like, it's unprecedented as far as our generation is concerned, and the relative peace we've lived in since what? Somebody shot at Reagan? It was probably the last time. And I hate to say that we're not taking Trump shooting seriously.
Right.
I hate to say we're not taking Trump's shooting seriously because unfortunately
conspiracies all over.
It's so crazy, but so much craziness is normalized, and he's made such a cartoon of himself. We almost forgot it even happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Twice, supposedly.
Right.
But the last time we remember something, and I hate to say legitimately happening, was the guy tried to kill Reagan and the other guy gets paralyzed, and that we haven't had what we in our era, this kind of constant. And I just don't know if it's going to be pockmark stuff. Now, they count school shootings now. I'm talking like political.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
Didn't they try
Which
to
are basically still political, being that they are not trying to do anything in respect to get the guns out of people's hands that should not have them.
That is true.
Didn't they try to shoot at Bush? No?
I don't think Bush was shot.
No, they tried to. They threw that shoe at him. And he ducked like he was a pro boxer. He did a little bob and weave.
Matrix joint on him.
I knew it was something.
Threw a shoe at him. But these are crazy times. What do you think of the protests? Just before we jump beyond, what do you think of the protests? Do you think they'll be effective? Do you think protests can work the way they once worked?
You know, one of the things, and I'll be honest, there are some, like I saw one of the young men, I saw someone's post and they said, you know, how can you burn a flag? So this was speaking to someone who was not a native of America. And how can you burn a flag of a country that you supposedly hate, hold up a flag of a country that you fled from? And when...
So you're talking about some of the protesters.
Some of the protesters,
I
right.
Get it.
And for that point, I can kind of understand that 100%.
But the gist of the No King thing in general,
but going back to because once that platform opens, everyone has their own agenda and what they're going. So you got LGBTQ, blah blah blah.
Black Lives Matter. You got Palestinian
you got
stuff.
Everybody,
we'll talk about that in a minute.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they've got the numbers, and right, so then everybody shows up with their own piece or whatever. But the No Kings. My hope is that there's some strategy behind all of this, and that they have some next steps. Otherwise, I believe it's just as ineffective as, I hate to say it, but when Tavis Smiley would have the State of the Black Union, it's like all of us together again for what?
Preaching at each other.
Preaching at the choir. Where is the strategic plan? Where's the action plan?
Correct.
What are we doing next? And for people like myself and anyone that's worth their salt in respect to getting stuff done, if we don't have a plan of action, then I don't want to be there. At least in our age group, I believe. I think
what's messing it up is the violence. Like you have the people coming in marching peacefully and protesting peacefully, but then you have these other groups, subgroups coming in, setting the cars on fire, causing all the violence and stuff like that. Now, I think that's taken away.
Right.
And
Now, two things to that though, but you know, I do believe that all that violence and tearing down of property and whatever, that is illegal. It's wrong, especially because that's someone else's stuff, right? You're bringing your fight to the wrong place.
They can burn them Waymo cars up though, them self-driving cars.
Right.
They can burn them jokers.
They can burn those.
Yeah. We have no love for you.
But the thought process, at least to me, is that there's a bigger fight that needs to be had, and you burning up material things such as that doesn't get things to the next level.
Right.
Also, I would wonder in respect to some of these people who are doing this certain acts of violence, you know, bombings or whatever it is that they're doing, how many of them are actually planted from
I was
the
going to say
opposition?
that agitators, saboteurs.
Why? Because they cover up their face a lot of times. And we've seen that happen. And even back in the civil rights and stuff like that,
There were always people infiltrated.
They always planted people to be able to, you know, run amok or whatever. So I don't think things are as black and white or clear, because unless you can identify who actually is doing that, then...
And what's the story behind it? I mean, because we hate to be conspiracy theorists, but we know too much about our nation now to know that whether it is overseas or domestic, I mean, we talk about the CIA, the FBI, we're talking about operatives all the way back to Watergate and other things. I mean, there's just always been dirty tricks at work, always been narrative spinning, always been plants paid people who have nothing to lose or what have you. And Lord, I don't want to say it like this, but I don't feel like anybody's above it.
Yeah.
Regardless of your political persuasion, I think anybody's above it if they're desperate enough and want to prove a point.
Right, desperation.
But, you know, it's been said, I think I read in an article recently that historically massive change actually occurs when about 3% of the population, I believe it was 3% of the population gets actively engaged in protests. And now, you know, out of 360 million or whatever it is, million people, I mean, you know, you're talking a little over 10 million people, 11 million people kind of a thing. So like you said, 11 million people have participated, so it was reported. But how much of that is sustained engagement?
Right.
Versus we just had a day or two here? Because when we talk about civil rights movement, heck, the revolution, it's sustained growing resentment and activism that builds that, including stuff like the Tea Party that made way to MAGA, that makes way to what we're seeing now, sustained and growing. I fear that there are some limitations to the demographic that will engage. And as I've talked to some colleagues about, a lot of black folk have already stated, this ain't our fight this time.
Oh, I've heard that several times.
This ain't our fight this time. And so that might limit the full engagement, because we've always been the fire and the fight behind these.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Right.
And I just said, even locally and in other areas, I don't see a intentional engagement to start to repair that gap and breach so that there can be engagement. Because right now, let's be honest, this is a pretty pale endeavor right now. You know, you didn't see a whole lot of us out there,
right?
Because we are tired.
We tired.
Well, and especially our black women who have always been the face and the force of movements. They tired.
Tired from Kamala.
They didn't watch. And they watched Straw.
And they watched Straw.
And they saw Straw.
Listen, get it. The sisters is like
that was it. They still got their tissues and the bonbons on the phone. I mean, Tyler Perry took them out for the summer. Tyler Perry, between Straw and Sinners, we are occupied right now.
We'll see y'all at Thanksgiving.
We'll see y'all.
But I thought it was because the Mexicans didn't have our back.
And that's what it is. It's multitude.
Right,
it's first of all tired of fighting.
Right.
Tired of watching a woman and black women in particular, you know, shoved to the side, regardless of how we felt the last election could have been managed. They just feel it, you know, through Kamala. And like you said, hey, you reap what you sow.
Right.
Hey, you Hispanics and different ones went for Trump values and this. Now they coming after your family. I'm just saying that's a sentiment.
Right.
I'm saying I agree with it. It's just a sentiment.
Sure.
And I don't know how much tent building is being done right now. I'm not sure how much tent building is being done right now.
I like Scott's comment though. This first.
Who is willing to step up and be the face? Okay, we can learn from history that we learn nothing from history. Absolutely. if nothing else, history always repeats itself. And who is willing to step up and be the face of political unrest? There is no rudder on the ship. That is true. There is no central figure. We still don't have a Trump. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, we just live in a personality cult whether we want to or not. And we don't have a God, and I don't know, I'm saying our side, but there's no God on the other side, so to speak. There's no figure.
Yeah.
Newsom stepped up, though.
He is.
Yeah, I mean,
he is stepping up, but he doesn't stand out just yet.
Yeah, but I saw an interview. No, I was listening to a podcast and they was interviewing him, and dude, he was like dogging Trump, calling him stupid and immature, and
he is purposely going into heady waters, almost like Buttigieg did, where he was willing to go on Fox News, and he has welcomed people, I guess, on his own podcast that are people that. But here's the funny thing: I watched that, and I mean, we're just flowing, by the way. People are offended by the fact that he's done that. Yeah. So there's always this, litmus test situation going on where, because he did invite some people from the other side on, so he could have that debate, people just felt like he's platforming, more of that rhetoric by even giving them the space with him. But somebody's got to try something.
Right, for sure.
I mean, we had Booker. I don't know what happened after. He's probably still peeing right now. He's still
right. His bladder's still weak.
Booker is still on that toilet. Making up. But I'm saying we ain't heard much from him or Jeffries. I'm talking like in a real dynamic way. Who's willing to be the face? For and I can say from experience, sometimes it's too high of a risk reward. To be the face, and you're not always appreciated. And like I said, there's this litmus test. You can't please everybody. Dems, and I don't count myself as a Dem. I'm an independent, but Dems have a broad tent. But like you said, Mike, they're going every which direction. Every which direction. So
I'll say the part about Newsom, I'm not impressed. I didn't hear anything. I'm just saying from the outside in, you've been the governor of this state for how long? And it's almost like if you did nothing, it's either go hard and try to hopefully salvage you being able to run again and your state, receives you back, or that's it. That's a wrap. You know what I mean?
Well, he actually called Trump out, man, because he was saying that he had talked to Trump like before Trump sent the National Guard. He said he talked to Trump, and Trump didn't say anything about it.
Right, but I'm saying like calling them.
But then later on, Trump got on TV, started calling their names and this and that, and so.
But what does calling Trump out mean anymore?
Like,
I mean, what hasn't been said about this man? That's the least that you can
do.
I mean, challenge him to a fight. I mean, something.
Right, exactly.
I think game of golf, something.
Because he be on them courses.
Right, he be on them courses.
He be on them courses.
Hacking away.
Yeah.
I want to switch gears to a far more serious subject, because I know we're going this front half a little long, but we can split it up depending on what we were going to talk about, being Father's Day and all. But the world is on fire again in the Middle East, even more than the fire has been. Last few days, Iran and Israel are engaged in a firefight with each other via missiles, and Israel started it this time. Whatever that means, though, and I don't mean I do mean offense, because you'll say Israel's been attacked, and yes, everybody, we get it, we know that. But as far as this round is concerned, they have openly called it a preemptive attack to dismantle Iran's nuclear program that Iran claims is for commercial purposes only, but that Israel is convinced is also enriched from, bombs, whatnot. And so they started the first volley, killed some military commanders, took out a facility, and Iran has answered, bombing Tel Aviv. They claim that a lot of the missiles have been shot out the sky, like they say, I mean, where are we going with this? I mean, first of all, the Middle East is a forever tinderbox to me. It just is what it is and has always been what it's going to be. But I am getting further and further away from sympathy for Israel.
I think a lot of people are.
Further and further. Don't have much at all, except for their right to exist like anybody else.
Right.
But not to do. Everybody has threats. Everybody has people threatening, and we don't know what it's exactly like to have somebody next door to us exactly, who might be making bombs to kill us. We don't. But that's been their reality forever. And what they did in Gaza, as a response to a horrific historical attack that was horrific in its own right. But the response of killing tens of thousands of women, children, alongside fighters, basically bombing and clearing out an entire area where Palestinians were living, starving them by refusing to let aid in, shooting civilians wantonly, you know. And now this. And who are we to tell who can have nuclear weapons and not, and who has them for pure purposes or not? Because God knows we ain't got them for pure purposes.
Come on, somebody.
I mean, are we serious? I mean, I'm sorry. Call me unpatriotic and all that stuff, or you support terrorists. America's done its share and continues to do its share. America has put hands, guns, bombs, missiles, helicopters in the hands of people who turned them back on us and continues to do it. Americans have sent soldiers out to die for meaningless wars over and over and over again, occupations, and halfway stoking the flames. Like, some folk you just leave alone.
Right.
I tell my kids sometimes, just leave that kid alone, man. What?
You don't want...
Bruh.
Yeah. Well,
America needs a black mama to say, didn't I tell you?
Right. They didn't want her.
They didn't want her. Want the black mama to say, didn't I tell you?
They didn't want her.
Now look at you.
Yeah.
But I mean, what do we make of this? I mean, because they're saying another full-scale war can break out. And is that something you fear? And what do you think the ramifications of it can be?
I feel sorry for humanity. I feel sorry for the citizens who are just like you and I, who just want better for their families.
Yeah.
They want to live in a place where I can turn on my TV and my leader not be an idiot, and just a sense of normalcy and sane, independent. I will say the thing that I was not afraid of with Sleepy Joe, if you want to call him, being at the helm or knocked out or whatever he was doing, is that I feared that someone was about to come and take us out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So say what you may, but when you get these leaders like in Kim Jong-un and so on and so, all these other places, man, when they say mess around and find out, that's what didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, and if the other Arab nations join in to help Iran, knowing that Iran, like, okay, they might not have helped, over there in Gaza and stuff like that or whatever.
There's still one people, though. There's still technically one people, though. I mean, it's the Muslim world.
Right,
it is
for sure.
Yeah.
But I believe the narrative is that they didn't do it attacking all Muslims. Initially, that was that, oh no, we're just Gaza because of X, Y, and Z. But this right here, and knowing, it's almost like I got my big brother with me now. Right. So let's turn it up.
And we don't really know how united, these nations really are, when it comes to that. But again, as Scott said earlier, I mean, history does repeat itself, and sometimes you can get a gang up thing. I think that because of Israel's success in decimating Hamas, as much as they have, I'm not saying that they've completely eliminated them. And apparently, what's the other group? Hezbollah. And they've really weakened, supposedly. I think they felt it was a prime time because they wouldn't have those threats for retribution as much as they would have had 3-4 years ago if they would have tried to go at Iran with these people positioned where they are. So, but overall, obviously, this brings about a lot of rhetoric in our world, in the church world, in the Western Christian world, because it's obviously super duper pro-Israel from a lot of our evangelical friends. I mean, I'm not anti-Israel, but I'm not pro-Israel. I'm not even neutral. I am more towards the negative side for multiple reasons. Number one, it feels like we use them as a puppet and a proxy for our own desires anyway. And most of the people who claim we love Israel don't really love Israel at all.
Right.
And secondly, I just struggle with the whole we have to defend them or help them or bless them, which just means give them all the bombs and money they want to wage their wars. But at the same time, we believe that God is keeping them.
Right. Now, what's happening?
What you need us for?
What? God got them.
I mean, that's what you say about the poor folk.
Yeah.
That's what you say about, Yeah. And that special status thing, I just feel like, and I'm not saying that everybody feels that way. I'm not saying that people are insincere. I'm just saying that it's just too much of a contradiction to me to take seriously. And quite frankly, the Bible reader in me is like, I just have a hard time reconciling modern Israel with Bible Israel, because I'm looking for a king, a priest, a prophet, a temple, people who actually follow the law.
Yeah,
I'm not looking for some democratic puppet state of the West that can count on us for bombs and missiles and support.
Yeah,
I'm looking for people who really are. And if you're not that, then just say that.
Yeah,
but we tie them in artificially, so to speak, just to say that justifies us standing behind them against anybody, even when they're dead wrong, because they have been dead wrong in pushing people out of their settlements and expanding beyond their borders.
Right.
And it's been going on for years, which is a part, once again, mess around and find out, which is a part of why some of these, I didn't say all of it, but a part of why some of these issues exist, because they are aggressors in ways as well.
Sure.
And so I just don't see something happening in the Middle East that we don't end up wrapped up in. And it's already been said that from the first initial attack from Israel to Iran, that we will be partly blamed for it. And it could bring retribution, whether to bases, to soldiers, to people, just harsher. Heck, they can still shut this oil stuff off. You know, they can go back to that. But again, we don't know how united they are. So I'm just not on the bandwagon of rah Israel because some bombs got thrown. I'm just more nuanced with it.
Right. Well, and, you know, and speaking to the, you know, some and not all, I have some very close friends who are Jewish, and they don't ascribe to this idiot that's running.
No.
And so the thing is that you've got piss poor leadership, such as here in the States, as you do in some of these other countries. And that, to me, that no king protest should be across the world, because there are idiots.
The trend is just of authoritarianism,
regardless
just
where
ridiculous.
You are in the world.
And it's been said, and we'll get off of it, it's been said that a part of the reason for this strike was that the Netanyahu dude's government was getting really weak and was getting ready to get called to another vote. And you basically just need a crisis. Create another war, you create loyalty. You know, at least for now, we can't upend this because we got this thing going on now. So, I mean, these are wild times, y'all. It might be a hot summer.
I say go get the leaders, like you was playing around before. Go get the leaders, put them in a WWE cage match,
fight it out,
and let them fight it out, man. Y'all do it. No, we gonna leave our boys and our young ladies at home. They chilling.
And if we do have to go to war again, you know what? And if we do have to go to war again, send the YNs.
Listen,
send the YNs.
I want the YNs. I want the Klan. I want all
y'all go fight. All of them. The gang members.
Yeah,
y'all go.
Where y'all been?
Let's see how tough y'all be now.
Come on, yo.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Welcome to Religiously Incorrect. Mike stepped in for us. Pastor Jeff is with his son, actually, who's participating in Upward Bound College program, and we missed each other tonight. But love to Pastor Jeff. All is well.
He's the only dad that cares.
He's the only dad. These
other two, they're like, oh no, I'm good. I got to go to work.
Bless them kids.
Bless them.
That's the way the saints say it. Bless them kids. Pastor Wingfield, good to see you. Scott, Shane, man, how you doing? I see how you're moving, Shane. Very proud of you and what you're doing. The Sister Carletta, everybody, do me a favor. Like, share, tag, all that stuff. It's a Father's Day edition of Religiously Incorrect. Let's hit that meme of the week. Y'all know what it is.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
Welcome to Religiously Incorrect, ladies and gentlemen.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
Thank you. Send us your memes of the week.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
We are. These are all jokes. We are just playing.
Now, Pastor Les, good to see you, my brother. Bless your bones, as he would say. Sorry I missed you the week before when you were here with Bishop Herron and Bishop Bowman. I was actually out of here in Kentucky that week. But Pastor Les, you are well-versed with the prayer line, the ministry to people as God leads by his Spirit, by his anointing. You know, us pastors sometimes come down amongst the people, lay hands, speak a word, you know, intercessions going on. But it's a new breed out there, man. It's a new breed. And this pastor that we're going to show for our meme of the week is very particular about what he wants and what he does not want while he is ministering to the people. Y'all take a close listen. A lot going on in this worship, you know, experience, some music in the background. And let me know what you think.
Thank you. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. I was putting up with it for a little while, but it's out of order. If I'm the one praying, nobody should be praying or be speaking in tongues over me. That's called order. And we should know better than that.
Okay. All right.
He turned it back up. Didn't he?
Okay. Okay. So if you didn't catch the audio gist of this, pastor, minister, prophet, whomever, happy Father's Day, President Harrison. This reverend just got done. He was praying for someone, and he was so bothered that somebody else was praying loudly behind him that he stopped. And I understand sometimes you have to address distractions, but he stopped and said, "Why are you praying louder than me? Why are you speaking in tongues louder than me? It's out of order. I've been putting up with you for a minute. You're out of order." And then let me start there, because there's something else I want to say. But where is that in the Bible that there's this order? And I know there's a word about how tongues should function in the church, but I think what we're seeing is far from that anyway. So where is this, you can't pray louder than me if I'm praying for someone?
Oh,
the book of pick and choose. Pick and choose. 5:25 says, "What I pray." Secondly, how quickly does it come out the Spirit and have a straight attitude, not even giving a spiritual rebuke or correction, smoothly just asking someone, "Could you bring it down so I can hear a little better?" I mean, he's rolling his eyes in the Spirit at this point.
Yeah.
He's smacking his lips under the anointing. Yeah. He's just like, I don't even know how I can keep praying anymore. And the poor person he's praying for is like, I guess I ain't getting my breakthrough tonight. Because old girl was too loud. Right. But most importantly, what's up with that jacket?
Oh.
Play it again.
It was bedazzled.
And Reverend Sassy Pants needs to answer for his double bedazzled outfit before he rebukes anybody. Play it again. Which are straight out of the Vicky Winans collection. 100%. He's got the shoulder wave straight out of the Vicky Winans collection. He's got the...
Is this in Detroit? This is like this in
Detroit or Atlanta.
Yeah.
I was putting up with it for a little while, but it's
out of order. Bedazzled lapel, which is straight out of the choir director's
collection. If I'm the one praying, nobody should be praying or be speaking in tongues over me.
The time.
And you got the cord. You got a cord.
That's called order.
John Witherspoon.
And we should know better than that.
I want to see the belt.
Bedazzled belt.
Who's not the glittered angel wings?
Wow.
I mean, it is bad. Yeah. Do people not see themselves and know that these things are gonna go viral?
Yeah.
He think he's sharp though.
I bet you he did. He got up and preached like that. Because keep in mind, this probably happened at the end. So he got up and got dressed. He accepted an invitation to minister. Went in his closet. It said, "This is what I'm gonna wear."
And his wife said, "Yeah, you look good, baby."
Maybe his husband said,
Well.
Again, where was this at? Way out.
That said the music track of this. But it also appeared that there was a DJ playing the music in the back. Play it again, Mike. I'm sorry.
Come on, man. One more time.
One more time. And just tell me if you see what I see. When he moves his head. See if you see a DJ in the back. Like turntables, because it sounds like CD music.
Why are you louder than me? Why are you louder than me?
There's a dude in the back.
It's out of order.
Is that a turntable?
It's out of order. I was putting up with it for a little while, but it's out of order.
Is that your boy, Mike?
If I'm the one praying, nobody should be praying or be speaking in tongues over me.
He got the pulpit.
Is it a pulpit?
Yeah, he's got a clear.
It's how my father's pulpit looks like a turntable.
Yeah.
Oh, Run DMC pulpit.
Yeah.
All right, you off the hook. But the music was louder than everything else, and he does have the mic, so he really should be mad at the sound man.
Yeah, everybody. Just silence
Mike.
everybody.
That's what President Harrison said.
How are they louder than anyone else? Exactly. Yeah, they want to be a spectacle, Pastor Tatum. I mean, it's unnecessary that we have to keep seeing this. And as I always say, how can you both get pulled out the spirit so much and also lose any sense of grace or sensitivity to the moment over what technically could probably be corrected with a simple gesture or a whisper to someone to say, hey, tell her that I need her to bring it down a bit and then keep doing what you're doing. I mean, he literally goes into straight funk mentality from there, which makes you question whatever. What'd you say?
He wanted to fuss.
He wanted to fuss.
Yeah.
You're not a prophet if you're not fussing.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest.
But he could have just said, listen, everybody, bring it down. And that would have just...
They need to hear me.
That would have been the sound man. That would have been anybody that was praying louder than him and anyone else. Listen, I need everybody to bring it down real quick.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Unless they were asleep like Ethan today. He was knocked out.
You gonna let him talk about your son like that?
Ethan was out in his
Ethan
good suit.
It was funny.
It is good suit too. It is good suit.
That's hilarious.
That is funny.
First lady was like, "Get him." I'm like,
You know how I knew it was gonna happen? Because I was up rather late, and when I just happened to open up my iPad, the Bluetooth switched over real quick to his earphones. Oh, and I was like, "That nigga still up. That ninja, that slick ninja."
I told him
he gonna be sleeping church today. I knew he was probably sitting there waiting on me to come in.
Oh, you already know.
Waiting on that door to creak. But hey, y'all, you know what to do if you have a meme that you would like to send to us. Make sure you send it to religiouslyincorrectpodcast@gmail.com, or you can inbox us on any of our platforms, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. Now, keep in mind, we always tend to see things quite a bit. But if you have something unique and it is funny, we'll check it out. For the meantime, we want to thank our sponsors, Annex Events. They do the work so that you don't have to, whether it's tent setup, graduation parties, tables, chairs, decorations, anything that you need for a special event, they've got you covered. At Annex Events, we've got everything you need to make your event unforgettable. I promise, if you ask them for it, they either got it or know how to get it. Why don't you call Annex Events and let them make your next celebration a hit? Mention the Religiously Incorrect podcast and get 10% off your first rental. Just call 330-979-2909 or visit annexevents.com. That's annexevents.com, and we thank them for being a sponsor. And you, if you have a business or an organization, are more than welcome to also be a sponsor of Religiously Incorrect podcast. So, Pastor Tatum, thank you for the happy Father's Day greetings. Mike, Coach Mike, that is, roundly rejects any Father's Day greetings because he will not accept responsibility for any children he has not made. He is enjoying the childless life, and he mocks us who weren't so skilled.
Just lazy with it.
He mocks us who weren't so skilled, and now all we get is socks. But happy Father's Day to all the fathers and father figures out there,
yes.
all the men. And I do want to say to Coach Mike, and I'm sure there are many others out there that fit this bill, that in the absence of biologicals, I see the impact that you have on so many others just as a man in individuals' lives. I've seen how you've touched young men especially, but all...
That word touch, we don't like to do.
With the love of Jesus.
Had an impact.
There
you go.
There you go.
Amen.
Have you had an impact and an influence on the lives
I appreciate that,
of many young men and women. And it's good to see brothers who do that, with all jokes, to the terminology we can't use anymore. that you can do it with a pure heart from a trusted heart, that, you know, there's no ulterior agendas or motives, but that you really care for and love. And to all of you out there, you pastors, many of you, I meant to send you the text, but I'll just tell you now, Pastor Harrison, happy Father's Day. Thank you for something. I think we did text each other. I forgot. You know what? I was going to stop preaching for a minute and just start answering text messages, because apparently people don't know that Pastor Todd is preaching at around 11 o'clock, you know. So I'm just getting, you know, text messages from people. And the second challenge, besides getting constant text messages while you're trying to preach, is having to stop yourself when lady after lady after lady is leaving the church and wishing you a happy Father's Day, and you want to say you too. Because I'm so used to people saying have a good day, right. Have a good week, and God bless you, and all that. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, except for the ones with the mustache, you know what I mean? You never know. You never know.
Wow.
You know, but this is the Sunday where, you know, you can eat anywhere you want, no wait. My friend Pastor Davis from Columbus said there was a little bit of a wait at the restaurant he went to, and he was amazed. You know, because Father's Day just doesn't get the same love as Mother's Day. Just doesn't get the same love as Mother's Day. And I did a little piece of fussing, because you can't help, especially in a black church, to have a Father's Day Sunday without the preacher talking something about what a real man is and a real man ain't. Sometimes you just got to step on some toes and, you know, slap some foreheads and let them know what it be. And, but I kind of wanted to kind of hit the last half of this, talking about manhood in this day and age. You know, times have changed, and I alluded to that today in my sermon. Where are we at in the spectrum of manhood and gender relationships in general? Because, I mean, it has changed, and I would count all of us in this room, and probably a lot of you watching, certainly us in our age group, we have definitely come from and through very dynamically changing norms and expectations around gender roles, but yet we have very traditional backgrounds and foundations and navigating all of it. And I talked a little bit about that. Is manhood gone in the way that we knew it? Traditional man roles, that rough, tough, raw. And I'm not talking about the dude that just don't care. I'm not talking about the guy that'll cuss anybody out, don't have no morals, nothing. You know, there's always gonna be people like that, just antagonistic type people. Man, get out of here, Scott.
Leave us alone, Scott.
Leave us alone, Scott. I'm technically on vacation now, so I mean, I ain't got nowhere to be. I fly out in the morning. I don't care. But there has been this running thing, Mike, and I think this is what I wanted to get to, that basically manhood has been canceled in a way. Is there any credence to that? Or what they really talking about is that toxic masculinity, that men can do what they want with no consequences and that kind of stuff, and, you know, without the sensitivities and considerations of just a changing society? Or is there something to be said that some things do need to be recaptured and maybe, this isn't a word, but I'm Baptist, re-respected and re-emphasized in like certain traditional values, and maybe that there's a tie-in to when we see a lot of failing families and a lot of broken homes, is because we've de-emphasized a certain version of manhood so much that there's no real push for men to actually fulfill those roles because it doesn't feel respected in the first place. I don't know if I said a whole lot to say a little bit, but do you think it's a real attack on men, so to speak, as we hear sometimes, like this ain't a man's world no more, you know? How do you feel about that? And maybe just your own experiences or what you kind of observe.
Sure. I believe that people are people. Culture always shifts. People of whatever gender will sometimes take less responsibility so that they can live the life that they want to have. The flip side of all of that is that there are still people who care, who step up, who accept responsibility, set accountability. And I don't believe enough of those stories are being told to the masses. And more so, it's almost as if...
Did you watch church today?
First of all,
I mean, not in a bad way, because
no, that's a rebuking tone.
It wasn't, because everything you're saying is like we got the same spirit and heart. I literally talked about how we need to re-elevate and tell the story more, emphasize it more. I mean, you're all up in it, man. From the Trump stuff to this.
I watched the first 5 minutes, and then I was driving from...
You said the men are singing, never
Michigan.
Mind.
I took my mom to the to the black rodeo, and my auntie. So
you said the men are singing, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the brothers was holding it down.
They were holding it down.
Always. But that said, I believe that there is definitely opportunity for us to write our own narrative. And I believe that that's also something that has always been said culturally, even with, us of melanin color, that if we don't write our own story, we allow for other people's to write it for us. And when it comes to some of these, and I'm using the term loosely in respect to me saying these feminist groups, but I'm talking about the ones who hate men.
Really on the extreme side.
That extreme, right?
Okay.
When they have the microphones and they're out there, the bullhorns and this, that, and the other, and they don't care about those values. They don't care about shining a light on the men who are actually stepping up and so on and so forth. But there's so many fractures among what manhood looks like and people's perception. And as they say, people's perception is their reality. Some people, when they think of manhood, they also coordinate that with fatherhood, and they coordinate that with what a man looked like to them ages ago, and so on and so forth. So honestly, you almost have to give a working definition of what manhood is today, to be able to say, well, this is what the working definition is, and where are we on our barometer of our young men, our older men, and so on and so forth, fulfilling that role.
I think a traditionalist would say, when you think of traditional manhood, and obviously most of our conversations kind of have their context around the black community, just being who we are and what we mostly talk about, you would think of a man being a responsible, accountable breadwinner, and a head in more than just money, a head in an authority in a sense. And I'm not, and I might as well just say it, because I hate to say it, I feel like we have to qualify everything we say now, but obviously that authority and idea of head and running a household and breadwinner and all that is always construed as, the domineering, patriarchal kind of a situation. I don't think you can get away from that, because there's never perfect equality, no matter how much you want there to be in any facet of life, period. But traditionally, you've looked at the man being the one who takes the lead in life and for life and in building a life. And taking in someone, obviously a woman, making children, taking care of that whole situation. And out of that, whether it's contributing to society, being a productive member, working somewhere, being a part of a church, and even if you don't go to church, something of some value, or just basically not being a screw up. Like, you know what I mean? Just don't be a screw up. Don't kill anybody. Don't make babies and run away from them. And is that even respected, like you said, for the ones who are doing that? Have both sides and genders helped contribute to the diminishment of traditional gender roles, family structure, which does come back to manhood? Sometimes it feels like, with the convergence of all these factors you talked about, the growing number of women who can independently make it on their own, and the breakdown in a lot of our families, it starts to make you wonder if the previous generations of men were doing out of more force and like, I had to do it, it's expected of me, but if I was left to my own devices, I won't. If I'm left to my own devices, I won't, because now that nobody's making me do it, now that nobody considers me less of a man if I'm not getting married and making a family. Now if nobody considers me less of a man if I'm not working and breadwinning, and I can explain it away, debate it away, talk it away, hustle my life away or whatever, and I'm okay with a good segment of society, male and female, and there is no real culture, and I always say this, of shame or expectation that is sometimes seen in, more maybe more traditional conservative cultures. that in the absence of that, why go through the trouble? Some men, and I'll be honest, just feel like if I can't be a dictator, I don't want to be anything at all. Because you got guys who are not trying to live within the bounds of those family values, but they trumpet them. They're screwing anything that moves, making babies with anybody, and still talking about what a real woman ought to do and what kind of person they would want to settle down with, when they're creating an entire community of people that can't not possibly embody that in a way, because they have created this scattering, so to speak. But you ask them, 5 kids by 4 baby mamas later, they'll tell you what they want in their home, in their house, and even blame those women for not being the right kind of woman to them. You know what I mean? Like, so I think there is some blame on that. But on the other hand of that, there are 2 sides to the female side. Number one, the independence that I think has gone too far, and the low expectations they will accept from men that they're willing to engage with. Why be a good man if the females will go after the wrong ones?
Very much so.
A lot of guys feel that way, whether some sisters want to hear that or not.
Yeah.
We all seen the memes and the jokes. Some of us been that guy. Just the normal, everyday dude trying to do the right thing, and we lose out to the thug every time. Now, are you losing out to the right kind of person? Who's to say? You know what I mean? Because maybe the wrong kind of person going after the wrong kind of person. Maybe it is. But there's a lot of people talking about, I want a good man. I'm like, yeah, I was trying to talk to you 5 years ago. Where was you at? You know what I mean? That whole deal. So was it necessity? When we're talking black community, especially, you're coming out of slavery, coming out of sharecropping and segregation and injustice, and got to make your own. We had to make our own homes. What if you don't have to anymore? You know what I mean? Yeah. What if society allows? And as much as we say that the women live without men, the mothers, I'm talking about young couples and mothers, they're living without men because they can live off the system. Well, there's a lot of men who's comfortable with that too. In other words, I know she'll be good if I don't stick around, because all she got to do is go downtown. You know what I mean? Like, so obviously there's a lot of dudes that are cool with that because they ain't working to make sure that woman and child don't have to be on the system. Right. So it's like, it's not just the ladies willing to lay up to live off welfare. Yeah. It's the guys willing to lay up and let them and feel fine with it because they know their handle. And so it's, you know what I mean? It's like, it's convoluted in a way, but it's worth talking about. I want to kind of switch gears and talk about what I feel is like an overcorrection that has created, maybe out of that patriarchal domineering world. Now that our sisters have what you might call full rights, equality in a sense, and I know it's not equal, so don't jump down my throat. But the idea that sometimes in an effort for equality, you yourself end up dominating and not wanting to give it back or balance it back out, so to speak. So it's like an overcorrection where we're seeing it everywhere, in my mind, where it's too much, so to speak. And you have a lot of brothers that feel like, well, there's no place for me. You know, there's no place for me. You don't want me around. You can make it by yourself. You can make your own money. Right. You're running, I mean, from politics to the church to business, entrepreneurship, everything seems geared towards. Sure. You feel like we live in a feminine world. Do you feel we live in a feminine or feminized society? I do believe. I do believe so. But, you know, I mean, if we're to look at, you know, the word feminine, and I believe that needs to be. I don't mean derogatory. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. But, you know, let's look at the other ways that we use the word feminine. Like even the church, you know, Christ is coming back for his bride. We are the church, you know, in respect brothers don't want to be a bride.
We don't want to be a bride.
Brothers.
Well, again, that bishop or that apostle or he might be.
He don't mind being. He's already dressed to be the bride.
He's already dressed. That could be something free flowing from the waist down there. We just did not see.
We only saw from waist up. We only saw waist up.
But, yes. But you know, for what it's worth, I believe that any man that's worth his salt definitely wants a woman who can stand her own, who has the sense of being able to switch it on to be independent, and all those other characteristics that you named. Because especially if I'm a man and I travel or I'm away from the home or whatever it is, I want to know that my wife is at home and the house can still run.
And run.
You know what I mean? She could step up, bills could get paid, the kids could get taken care of if we've got kids, so on and so forth. And not that I'm leaving some weak, feeble vessel and I'm up here worried, are you spending all the money because you don't have good financial habits? Or are you not making sure that our kids are fed and so on and so forth? So if I could find a counterbalance of me, but spiritually know where we stand and when respect to spiritually and the man being the house of the head of the house. You know, and one of the things that I've heard as well, you know, the man could be the head, but the wife is the neck. And I'm gonna tell you, for what it's worth, the head can't do nothing without that neck. I'm saying the neck controls. You see,
I see what you did there, Mike.
Come on, somebody.
This is a family show.
I'm bringing it back. So anyway, what I'm saying is the women are. They have a very powerful. Yeah. They have a very powerful position,
and they do. And the funny thing is, it's been said, the sisters, and I'm talking especially in the Black community, have always really run things. Yeah. Even when they weren't running things. Mm-hmm. It's sad to say they were running things from a position of oppression and suffering, including our grandparents, our grandmamas, our mamas, and them that didn't have the same rights. You know, the man could come in. I mean, I'm talking everything from physical abuse to just down talk to just what they say goes. Yeah. You know, not their intelligence not being fully respected. But there are also times where if it wasn't for that woman, the finances wouldn't be held together. Right. If it wasn't for that woman, the house wouldn't be organized and the man wouldn't have himself together. And even some of those, I mean, our sisters traditionally literally kept the man together to make him a man. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Literally make him a man. Yeah. I mean, those traditions we think about, making a man a plate, you know, getting up and getting his clothes ready for work and making the lunch pail and all that stuff and taking care of the bit and all that stuff. I mean, I'm talking about primitive stuff going way back. The assumption is the man can't do it for himself. Yeah. Like he could not, if he was left to his devices. And even in them old movies sometimes when you see the man, like, if their wife died, they immediately go look for another woman. Like they immediately go look for another woman. Yeah. I was just watching a movie about that. Matter of fact, it was funny. It was Abraham Lincoln. It was like a documentary about Abraham Lincoln, and his mother died, and immediately his father's like, "I'm going to town to find a woman," literally, because it's like a house is not a home. Like literally, Luther. Yeah. I mean, you know, but like, so there was a power there, and of course, a part of the movement is. From the women's side, and we're going way back, is we've always had the power to keep this together, but you didn't respect us as such. And then when we look for opportunities outside the home, having our own credit, having equal pay, jobs, you know, not being subject to, you know, rape, whatever, all these things, you know, wanton, we're demanding this, and rightfully so. But in the process, it turns into something else. It turns into... we want to be beside you and we want equal rights with you, but as society was shifting and men didn't know what to do with it, we can overtake you in a way. And now there's no, some men feel there's no space for you. And we want to address Scott's question in just a second. Wait with us. We're going to graphic out, and my man Jeff is getting ready to join us. We're just going to hit the graphic and do a quick set change. I mean, 10 seconds. Hang out with us for 1 second. All right, welcome back. Pastor Jeff is in the house. What's up, brother?
Man, you know, on
Daddy duty.
Negro time.
Negro time. He was on daddy duty for real, taking care of his son. We talked about your son being in the college program up at Kent. You know what I'm saying? Meeting them college babes. We know what's going down.
Listen,
we know what's going down.
Look, but
Listen. I'll pick him out for you.
That's the one, Bishop.
He said, I ain't trying to be creepy or nothing, but you know. But thanks for tuning in. We're talking about Man Up. It's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, of course, Pastor Jeff.
Yes, sir.
He is our resident father, Abraham, you know. But, I mean, just much love to you, of course. But Scott asked this question. As a man, are you willing to adjust your relationship with another man who doesn't take care of his children and family? I want to answer that in a different way. I don't know of a man who doesn't take care of his children and family who wants to be around me. I really don't, because I can't think of one right now unless you're just kind of showing up to church or whatever, right, or I just see you around the way. But as far as being in an actual relationship or friendship or real brotherhood, and I don't want none of your sisters to go to church tell me about a brother that I don't know about that I need to correct. But I'm just saying, birds of a feather
flock together.
Normally flock together.
Like,
I don't know nobody.
We are accountable to one another, so we would say, bruh, you wildin', dude. You tripping.
And probably from the standpoint that we've even started from when we met each other, there was a certain respect and regard that builds the relationship in the first place. And if I was just getting to know you, the fact that you're a deadbeat would be kind of a no-go from the start. Like, unless I'm counseling you and trying to help you be the man, and you're kind of coming into each other's lives with a pastor or just man to man, older man to younger man, or just build, unless that's like, I need help and want to be a better man.
Right.
But somebody else out there, if they're cool with it, they're probably either doing it or would do it themselves if the opportunity presented itself. Absolutely. Be that same type of person.
And regardless, I believe, of any kind of spiritual connotation to that, men can identify with other men just off of principles of,
right,
bruh, you know what I mean? Do you take care of your house? Do you take care of your kids? Whatever. And we haven't even talked about Christianity, Buddhism, whatever.
Just
Muslim,
a man thing.
Just as a man,
yeah.
Do you step up when you called on, and so on and so forth? And so, to me, I don't have any deadbeat friends or anybody that I affiliate with.
Couldn't tolerate them.
No.
They would be offended by my preaching.
Yep.
Number one.
They'd be offended by my presence.
By presence.
Because of how I show up.
There it is. There it is. Brother Bynum, you got to give respect because he's my elder. Mr. Bynum said it good. Grandfathers were made of steel and produced our fathers that had some steel with a little aluminum in them. They produced us with some aluminum and some alloys. This is a deep allegory. I'm preaching this, Doc. We produced our children that are softer than us. Is that a part of the manhood problem? The development of soft men. And I will even go a step further. Soft men masquerading as strong men.
Interesting.
Strong men masquerading. In other words, they're using all the wrong metrics and motifs and imagery and, behaviors to prove strength to hide softness. Because I'm gonna be honest. You want to talk about manhood, and I'm sure some sisters would exist with me. The way I'm watching these brothers crash out on social media and get offended by the opinions of sisters and other men, I mean, it's starting to make me question. Starting to make me, your emotional intelligence is at in the basement, your ability to accept disagreement and respectfully have conversation, to not feel triggered. Women say it a lot, but a lot of brothers exemplify it a lot. Absolutely. Like, they're triggered, like, you can't have an opinion without them saying, what if,
Yeah.
And they get in these debates, these scenarios, all of this stuff. And you can tell they're taking it to heart.
Yeah.
I'm
thinking of no names whatsoever. I'm not even going to hint at it, but there's a young lady there's a young lady we know. She had an event, and a young man crashed out in the lobby area because she had asked him to leave an event that she had threw. And I remember, because I worked at tickets, the ticket area or whatever, there were at least, there's one pastor, and I want to say maybe about another 3 adults, seasoned adults, taking at least 30 minutes to try to calm this young man down just to get him to leave the premises or whatever, because he automatically went from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
Well, I think that's what Mr.
Bynum was saying.
Our grandfather, one of the things that we lack, or this generation, I'm not going to say we, because I know us that sit here, but one of the things for me that this generation lacks is the ability to say no. Just say no. Your kids don't have to go to McDonald's every time they ride past.
It's a no.
The McDonald's.
It's a no for me, dog.
It's a no for me.
You can't stay out late. Right. You can't. These
cats, curfews, ain't no curfew no more. These cats just do what they want to do. Say no. They don't have to have the latest pair of Jordans that come out just say no.
Making the latest pair of Jordashes.
Right.
No is
it is. And I mean, the firmness of a man's decision and conviction that you know that he mean, not to say you can't be persuaded. I mean, we're all softies for our baby girls and, you know, our wives, they know how to rub our back the right way and all that other stuff, you know. I get that. But like what you said is like never having a true firm conviction about anything to make your yeses yes and your no's no's. And maybe, again, to Mr. Bynum's allegory, and especially in the black experience, what was that steel forged by? What was that steel forged by? Was it forged by the hardship of slavery and the need to survive? You know, what was it forged by? What was it? So what I'm saying when he says they were made out of steel, well, why? Because they had to be.
Yeah, that's
but what if we live in a world where you don't have to be?
Right.
Yep.
Right? You don't have to be, because first of all, people have more sympathy for men in a way that's somewhat necessary, but also dangerous. Mm-hmm. In other words, and as things loosened up as far as oppression and outward injustice and all of that in the ways that we see hatred obviously in our world, but as far as like you can get lynched for this.
Right.
You know, when that goes away, does the survivalistic element that hardened those older men still exist in us?
But that's what I was going to say, Pastor, because what happens is we've said for so long, we want our children the next round to go a little bit higher, and to be better. We want them not to have to go through all that we went through, but what we went through made us who we are.
True. But every generation wants to make them a little better. Right. But that also means...
But we don't have to make them softer. Better does not mean softer.
Did we decide that making them better was buying more stuff, nicer houses, more selective friends and environments?
Right.
Because now, I mean, in a way it's good to tell people you don't have to be around nobody you don't want to be around. But now, at a certain level, like, you're going to have to be around people you don't want to be around. You have to learn how to cope with the reality of it. And what happens if you can't cope with the reality? Now, to your point about, let's say, a young person that can't take being told what they can't do or where they can't go. Mm-hmm. Now, let's be fair. There are plenty of stories of dudes being put out of a bar and come back with a gun in 1950s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We going to settle this.
Yeah.
So, sure. But I think it ties together into the different socioeconomic position that we're in, but also the mentalities we've developed over time. And dare I say, even though this is religiously incorrect, I want to be religiously correct. Diminishing the traditional norms and expectations of Christian living, whether they are always totally consistently lived out or not, by removing the expectation that they even should be, that it's even the ideal. Whether every marriage is a faithful marriage or not, whether every man is doing what they ever do or not, to not even say as strongly anymore, this is what it ought to be. Right. And I'm going to call you out, to Scott's point, if you're not what you ought to be. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you that this Christian community is welcoming to everybody, but honestly, maybe deadbeats shouldn't be welcome. If you're not trying to be anything but a deadbeat. My father would often preach even this, because he went through this. Having a life before he was saved, a wife before he was saved, and all of that. And he said, well, now that you're saved, you still owe that other family as much as you can possibly do rightfully. Like, don't live this new reality. And you're this, picture perfect, and you still got 2 from the previous one that didn't work out. And you up in here acting like, this is all it is.
Right.
So, Scott, to your point, tough times make tough men. I think so. I mean, I don't totally disagree. I'm sure there's more to it, but tough times do make tough men, and we're not living in the toughest of times.
Yeah. I want to say, when we talked about, a better lifestyle for our young people, I believe that word better is so generic that it doesn't give framework to what that better looks like. For some cultures, better for them is financially better and making sure that I've got these things set up so that my kids financially can already have, 20, 25,000 in their bank account by the time they're 18, and they won't have debt in college and whatever. And I believe that we've allowed culturally materialism to take place of what better is. And we spend the money on them in real time instead of investing the money for their future. And so that term of better, I believe subjectively has kind of held us back to where we could be.
Right.
I totally agree with you. What if better just means you finally got one of your kids to go to college?
Right.
What if better means somehow you was able to get out of renting and able to purchase a house? That's better.
Yep.
What if better is you are all man, but you can't exercise self-control and not resort to violence or abuse when you're aggravated in your household? That you understand now, and you're imparting in your children, male and female, that this is what it means, and I know me and you, Jeff, live in this world where we're pretty tough, especially on our boys.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, nurturing. Our wives will say, oh, you didn't have to be that harsh. Right. But at the same time, we're also conversing.
Absolutely.
It's not easy. Sometimes I don't feel like it. A punch would feel a lot better than a conversation.
Just real quick and be done. Huh?
Just be done with it. Hey, he's gasping for air, but he'll be all right. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But that was my daddy's. That was his way. That punched me dead in the chest.
You need choke slam. This is what it's gonna be.
Dead in the chest. It wasn't no belts. It was a straight up.
And I said today, and a dad knows when you need to transition, especially with boys. Right. You need to transition from that belt spank stuff to, a little bit of a slap on it. Now it's just dead. It's Mike Tyson joint,
And both of our sons,
and they're big.
Elias taller than you?
Yeah, they're about my size.
Yeah, Christian is taller than me. I mean, it ain't hard, but
I got that old man strength, man.
He's a big dude.
I got that wisdom. Now I know what them old heads was talking about, where you might have the muscle, but I got this wisdom, dog. I know how to catch you off guard when you least expect it. It choke you right off the dining room table, and you don't know what happened.
Or in your sleep when you're in the bed. I got one of them. I was tucked away. My dad
elbow
came
drop
in there.
your butt.
Oh,
man.
You will still get this toothpicks and this biscuit.
Listen, so what does, and you're free to tune in, what does the female side of our society owe or should contribute to healthy manhood? What do you think? And I invite some of you to.
I think that's a great question. Because you was just talking about it, how your dad talked about you still owe, your other family that you built. And I can vividly remember when Tiffany and I first got married. I make no bones, most people know I was married before. But I remember my ex actually called me and asked me, could I come cut the grass? And I was like, no. And Tiffany was like, go cut the grass. I mean, that to me.
That's brave and bold.
A lot. And she, but
that's not Shamika, by the way.
No, that's not it.
I mean,
She said call Cedric. You better call Fernando. Phillips Care. You on there every week talking about Phillips Care. Y'all know the number.
Now she did flip when some things happened.
I feel it.
When she saw that trust was not established, she flipped.
That will happen.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I think that has a lot to do with it. The trust and just like you said, some of these ladies have been doing so much to protect the families.
How about the side of, and both sides have this problem of unrealistic expectations of men. Some men can't be it all. Some men don't have that nurturing side, and they're kind of rejected for being that gruff guy that just works. I mean, I say it all the time. I preach it sometimes. Bring back the brother that went to work at the mill, come home, have a beer, sit on the chair, and get up and do it again the next day. Might not be the most spiritual guy, might not be, but he knows how to handle responsibilities, come home, leave that check on the table, not wild out too bad most of the time. You know what I mean? You're not gonna say they ain't gonna have their moments, but like that was a stable part of our community too. We talk as preachers from the godly man and the prayer and the one leading the home, but there's also, let's be honest, the vast majority of a healthy black community was not necessarily a bunch of dudes going to revival all the time. It was just a bunch of dudes going to the steel mill all the time. That's what it was. And it's like, can we get back to respecting that? The brother that has to be away and work 10, 12 hours a day because that's what it takes to keep a house. So no, not only can you not have access to them all the time, they might not be that super emotional Hallmark card brother, and you might not also be taking trips to Miami and whatnot, you know, every couple months, you know, so not being in love with the fast money, the swag image. There's more than one way. I don't like to use the word dorky, but you could be the dorky guy, but also just the gruff everyday man that is overlooked, you know, because he's not trying to play the swag game and be the social media star and be the super handsome guy who can dress himself up just right. He's never going to be that guy. He's never going to be, but he will work hard for you.
And he's still a good guy.
Give you his life.
He's a good guy.
Right.
He's making it happen.
He wants to be left alone, basically.
Bills are paid. Like you said, he come home, the check $900, give him his 100, you take the 8.
Listen, right. Let him get a six-pack and
his irk and jerk. his irk and jerk and a cigar, and leave him alone.
Somebody knows about this life.
Let him sit out on the porch.
Right.
You know?
What do you think, Big Mike? What do you think your perspective?
You know what? I'm listening to you guys, and it reminds me of something I kind of experienced a couple of weeks ago. I had to go to Grand Rapids for work. Me and my coworker rode up there. It's about a 5-hour drive, and he's from India. Okay, so 5-hour drive. You know, we're like talking about each other's culture, asking questions, trying to understand each other, and they still do arranged marriages. He said his family.
I'm Indian now.
His family met first, okay? Then them two met a couple of days later. He said they went to the movies for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Then the next time they met, all of them met with the families to make sure they all got along. Then the next time they seen each other, they were married. Now this guy works in Warren. He lives in right outside of Cranberry, Zelienople or something like that. So he gets up at 4 a.m. His wife gets up with him, makes his breakfast, makes his lunch, and gets his clothes out. Now, while we were in Grand Rapids, his uncle lives there. It's about 20 minutes from the site that we were at. So his uncle called him, told us to come over for dinner. So we go over for dinner, and his cousin is there, female. She's cooking, all right? We're all in the living room sitting down. She tells us it's time to eat. She pulls out the chair for all the guys, makes everybody's plate, and then, like, you know, if you're low on something, she'll stop eating, you know what I mean, and get up and get you some more. And it just the culture shock. It was weird to me. Now, me personally, I don't think I would want anyone waiting on me like that. I just wouldn't feel comfortable. I do like some independence, but they seem to be happy, and that's the way it goes over there.
And that ideal is spoken of in some terms, you know, in our black culture of taking care of your man, fixing his plate, this, that, and the other. But we kind of put these terms on it, and we see the discussions all the time. Well, if you want me to be that kind of woman, well, you got to be this kind of man, kind of a thing. But you never kind of see it actually kind of come together in a reality, especially amongst younger generations, because it just feels like that type of man and that type of woman are not really committed to being that type of man and that type of woman, period. You know, that guy doesn't want to work in that fashion. And even if the guy was working, because there's our guys out there who are working, the females don't want to be that figure, no matter how much you say you did want to. It's like idealism versus realism. You can say this is the ideal. You can trumpet other people, and I'm talking on both sides. Couples you love. If they sit you down and tell you what they do for that guy, or do for that woman, I don't know about that. Or they act like if it was all the perfect situation, then I would do it. But the fact of the matter is, it's never really the perfect situation. You're always building and growing into it.
I agree.
You know, and that's the part I don't think is acknowledged because of the culture of instant gratification and perfect imagery, and we just try to make it look like something snapshot kind of a society where in the background, there is a lot that goes on to make a good marriage, a good relationship, a good dynamic in whatever culture you happen to be in. That's their culture. It's a culture of honor. I bet you that in that same culture of honor from female to male, there's also a certain sense in their own way that we may not understand of culture of honor and protection from the male to the female, and a culture of shame and expectation for all of them. For all of them. Meaning that without something over your head holding you to it, without family members and communities saying, if you don't do this, you're not a good woman. Right. Or if you don't make this money and take care of him like this, you're not a good man.
Right.
Without that communal agreement, so to speak, you don't get that. And what I think we lack is the communal agreement on what a good man and what a good woman is and does. Because if I got a cousin that ain't doing it, I'm not about to start saying that ain't, you know what I mean? If I got a man that won't work, I'm gonna get a little softer about talking about men who don't work. Right. And if I got a woman that won't, if I got a sister that won't settle down, or my own mother or daughter or whomever, or my own wife, it's just got her own ways, I'm not gonna talk that strong about how a woman should be honoring a man because I can't say it honestly, and I'm more apt to cover and excuse and justify the people I love and surround myself with, going back to Scott's question about who we surround ourselves with.
What could it be though? Going back to what we talked about earlier, that a lot of times it was, I want a man that treats me like my daddy treats me. But now if I don't have a daddy,
who's the model?
Right.
Who's the template?
So now you're picking whoever comes and
around.
whatever imagination that you may think is a good
whatever
man.
Image pushed at you, whatever's or what you might have seen somebody else cope with.
Right.
And that's the best you could do. Maybe I could do a little better and make a little better out of it.
Like you said, we live in this Facebook era where, you know what I mean? We all got that one place in the house you want to take a picture. The rest of the house might be dirtier than mud.
Just clothes on the wall.
Right. But from that picture, everybody's like, oh man,
picture perfect.
They looking good. They doing good. But if you could be a flower on some of these people's walls, some of us, even as men, have not learned. Yeah. We have not learned to be what a so-called man would be. We don't know how to take care of you. A lot of these guys have no idea what it means. Remember, we done a thing out of Agape where you walked around and shook the guy's hand.
Always.
Everybody just said, nobody knew how to stand up,
look you in the eye, all that different. Yeah,
no, we don't know that anymore.
Basic norms of what we call manhood. Absolutely. Traditional.
One of the things that you asked, you said, so what can a woman do in respect to kind of helping to evolve this conversation of manhood? And for those single mothers that are out there, I believe, and not saying that there aren't some that do, but putting that young man around other men and other types of organizations that are worth their salt, and that the leaders actually practicing what they're doing. And guess what? That organization is not going to save your son in and of itself, but being able to contribute something more, some other value, showing them how to shake a hand, look someone in the eye, learning how to tie a tie. At least it's going to be micro adjustments on the upside versus not dealing or not knowing even how to manage your son.
Or even not even having given them the chance to be around.
And now you've got this argumentative household. You're trying to correct this young man. You don't know what it takes to be a man, and he doesn't know. So now you all are just constantly fighting over an image that you see somewhere, but neither one of you know how to grow into.
And there's nuance for every development of a boy into a man, because it's different for everybody. Some people need the harder approach. Some people need the softer touch. Some people need the, and it will make them a man. They won't be soft necessarily, or maybe they'll be variety, I guess, to the world where we don't need everybody to be gruff and rough.
Right.
Some folk got to know how to talk and critically think and feel, but we don't need everybody, like you said, crashing out or just constantly in their feelings. But we have to be okay with that. And I want to add just one more thing. Women tend to be more talkative and expressive in general. And this world and society has demanded that now of everyone, even if they're not. And again, I know a lot of good men in life who ain't got much to say.
Right.
And you're going to try to make them tell me how you feel. I feel like I want to watch the baseball game. That's what I feel like. I feel like, but we do that to people. And then on top of that, forcing a lot of men to express and speak more than they're comfortable with or equipped to or just built to. And then on top of that, don't accept what they got to say at face value anyway.
Be careful what you ask for.
Be careful what you ask for. Because you ask men what they really think. There's a reason Grandpa didn't have much to say. He was trying to keep his house.
And can I just add for free? Big Mike, I really agree with everything you just said. Only thing I would say to that is, listen, brothers, can I talk to y'all?
Talk to the brothers.
If you're going to mentor these young men, the women are looking for a mentor, not a Mac. Stop trying to bring the
Some of them.
You know what I mean?
Because some of them do want a zaddy and a daddy.
Some of them
I got a couple.
But I mean,
You know how they put that extra coach? Can my boy start this week? They wear them leggings to practice for no reason.
Listen, them leggings.
Woo, there it is.
They the devil.
But I mean, but you're right. If you're going to be a man and claim that you're going to be there for these young men, then do that. Now, I've met quite a few guys that, hey, we met because I was coaching. It happens, but literally going out, trying to conquer folk.
I'm going to give you a ride home, Doc. I'm going to go ahead and take you home. Come on, man.
I love it. I do think, and I'll kind of wrap it up with this. I think society is given and prone to overcorrections. It's given and prone to overcorrections and overreactive responses. So what we are seeing from some in black and white communities is what you might call toxic masculinity, or this like really loud, aggressive attempt to reclaim manhood in a way that I don't think is healthy and helpful. It might feel like it gives a lot of guys something to rah-rah behind. And maybe there is a little something, because I think whether our sisters may want to admit it or not, and I guess it's not up to you to acknowledge what we feel or what men feel, there has been sort of an era of ignoring men in certain ways. And sometimes you mistake the voices and influence and power of a few powerful men, whether it's in a country or community or whatever, for the mass of everyday men who don't feel heard or seen. So you look at a Trump who's running roughshod as this alpha male and can just tell people to shut up and call him ugly and all that stuff. Or you think about that preacher that could just, be the dominant figure, or that one person in your family who just nobody could tell them nothing and their spouse was subservient and all that. And so you make that singular figure the model for all men, when most are living in the same hell you are in their own way. Not to say they're not advantaged because of their maleness, just like we say some white folk are advantaged because of their whiteness, whether they want to acknowledge it or not. We have to acknowledge that too, that our maleness just earns us some things. If we get mad, we're not an angry black woman and all that stuff. We're just a man trying to make a point, that kind of thing. But what I'm saying is, you got to stop almost like stereotyping, and you have to stop attaching every guy and every guy just trying to struggle and make it, with their imperfections, with their dumb opinions and ideas about life too, as if they really have power, in the same way you look at that one who seems to embody all those toxic qualities. And I think sometimes we let the loudest voices speak for a bunch of people who have no voice.
Absolutely.
Without their permission.
Absolutely.
All y'all think this way. No, that podcaster thinks that way. Right. No, Kevin, it might be discouraging to see all these comments. When Kevin Samuels was doing all this stuff and all these men agree, that still ain't most men. Most men ain't even having the conversation. You know what I mean? Most men. you're going by the most comments you see.
Right.
You're not going by the most men that exist. And that's where social media screws us up, because that is not real. There are still many more people disengaged in this cesspool of opinion and kind of like society engineering, and they're just living. And the only folk they talking to is the dudes in the barbershop or whoever they hang around. Right. But you're creating these worlds of all men must think that the girl Cassie deserved it because I saw some comments. Most dudes don't even know who these people are.
Right.
Or care. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's something we all have to come down from. Stop letting these artificial forces dictate our opinions and views of each other. Especially, and I'll just say this, of females towards men, because there are sometimes, I do believe, letting those singular figures dictate their image of all of us. No, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
But
I would just add, louder does not mean right.
Louder does not mean right. Or the majority.
Sometimes you can win the fight and lose the marriage.
Listen.
And older does not mean right.
That's why I take
Sometimes
L's
you've
every
just
single
been
day.
wrong longer.
That's why I take L's every single day, because it's cheaper to keep her.
It is. It is. It is.
But I mean, I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the perspective. Appreciate Coach Mike just jumping in, pinch hitting.
He be ready.
I'm saying.
He be ready.
Appreciate Pastor Jeff coming in right off the road, man, and sliding right into it, man, and hoping all is well with the family and Big Mike. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. Any last words, Pastor Jeff?
Just hope y'all had a phenomenal Father's Day. Just want to throw it out there. My daughters and my wife did get me the Fantasia ticket, you know.
Oh, they got you the Fantasia ticket.
Yeah, but they didn't get the front row.
Okay.
But, you know, my wife said it was too close and you can't see it. So I think it's like 6th row or something like that.
Good enough.
It's $280. I'm good.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Hey, if you don't want me, then don't talk to me.
Listen. Coach Mike, what's on your mind? What you want to say last words?
Sure. I say, I mean, in respect to manhood, I appreciate almost every man, especially that I have their number and I can call on and what have you. I appreciate y'all just stepping up. As my folks, they got a divorce when I was 13. So for me, I've always just picked certain attributes up from other quality men. And I believe that's even more prevalent in today's young men, especially when they're coming from broken homes. They're going to find the answers to certain things. So the best thing you can do is hopefully put other sound people, sound men around them. Mm-hmm. And they're not perfect men, but they're sound. They're going to give some sound judgment.
I like that.
And this man over here, he might be very good at doing X, Y, and Z, and it might take this other man doing X, Y, and Z. And truthfully, as a profession, that's what we do with mentors. Not one mentor has everything that we need. This one over here might be good business savvy. This one over here, whatever it is, you know. So it's a lot to put someone's perception and what they want to get out of someone on just one person. But allow for your young man to be around other men to hopefully grow into being a better young man as he matriculates through life. And men, keep in mind, these younger kids are watching you.
All day.
They are watching you. So
all day. And like I said, the craziness we're seeing out of these young people didn't come from nowhere. You know, it has come from a lack of us picking up responsibility and sometimes being willing to endure less than ideal circumstances for the greater good. A lot of people just don't want to sacrifice. And I can't be the judge of what's too much to sacrifice, whether it's in the way of putting your life on hold, putting up with what you might consider to be unhealthy or unappreciated situations. But at the same time, you know, if you run away from everywhere, nowhere will ever be good to you, you know, satisfactory to you. And I think that's kind of become an escapist reality for a lot of us, including men. I'll just go to the next girl. I'll just go to the next city. I'll just go to the next child. I'll just go to the next situation. You got to stay somewhere. You got to plant somewhere sometime. Grass is not always greener. Everybody got some gophers and some brown spots and some, you know, and if it is greener over there, somebody did a heck of a lot of work to make it that way. Absolutely. You still got to cut it. Grass might be greener, but you still got to cut it. And so I don't want to say what is or isn't. I just know that we always need to work on ourselves and sort of fight against the forces that are pressing against us to make us less than what we ought to be. And so that's my last piece for y'all. But man, we appreciate it again. Happy Father's Day to all of you brothers out there who are the real men, who are the real fathers, who are doing the right things. Love and appreciate all the great men in my life, past and present. I know Pastor Jeff feels the same way. So many indelible figures in my life that have made us to be who we are. Absolutely. And hopefully we can embody some of those things.
Absolutely.
So I don't think I have anything else.
I would even say even some of the negative ones that taught me what not to do.
Listen, sometimes you need that.
Yes, sir.
You need that. I'll be everything you weren't and nothing that you were, you know.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate y'all watching. I mean, y'all forgetting something before we sign off. I mean,
Happy birthday!
we went a whole doggone show.
Well, we was going to go to. Wait, that's the after. All right, folks, it was good. See you.
We're going to stay on for 5 more minutes because it's your birthday.
Minutes.
5 more minutes, man.
My birthday.
Happy birthday. And you are, and it's your anniversary coming up,
Our
right?
anniversary is Wednesday. 20 years, Doc. 20 years.
Ooh.
In the struggle.
That's it. That's it. How many more you got left?
20 to life, Doc. Without parole.
That's it, man. That's it. What is you, 40?
I'll be 43 in a couple hours.
My God.
43 in a couple hours,
Yes,
brother.
sir.
Yeah, we're
Right,
there,
you're getting
man.
up there now, Doc.
I can't turn back now. It was halfway. I told you, Scott, it was halfway.
Who knew?
Before you showed up, it was almost 9 o'clock, and I'm like, okay, so for the second half, and Scott was like, second half.
He ain't been in no black church.
Right here. Come on to the dark side. No, I appreciate the birthday wishes, everybody who shared love in
I was
church
wondering
and
why you was over
beyond.
here like Rico Suave.
Bro,
Right, usually he had t-shirts and that.
I
Listen,
came in, I was like, what's going on? Y'all here smooth.
we just went to a nice dinner in Cleveland and came back, and you know I made it back in time for the show. I mean, I don't know, but no, really appreciate it. Looking forward to another great year. Exciting things to come in my life and in our marriage and family and ministry. Just can't wait to see what God has in store. 43 is going to be a great year. I just feel it.
Good.
It's going to be a great year. What famous person has number 43 like on their jersey or something? Are there any?
Troy
Who?
Polamalu.
Troy Polamalu.
That's it.
It's the year of Troy. It's the year of Troy.
Wow, that's right.
Man, somebody buy me a
Come back to the
Palomalo.
Steelers, bro.
Somebody buy me a Palomalo jersey. It's got to be on clearance.
And you share a birthday with Tupac.
Tupac and the Ultimate Warrior.
Lisa Stringer's birthday today.
Lisa Stringer's birthday was today,
Yeah.
but tomorrow is the 16th. That's the holy day. So this is this is just birthday eve. That'll y'all really matter. Hey, Mother Reed, we miss you guys. Safe travels there down in Alabama. And headed to Georgia. So, hey, thanks for staying on for a few extra minutes for the birthday wishes. I'm gonna go home and cut this ice cream cake, and then wife and I flying out in the morning. Man, we about to kick it.
About to go make another baby. Glory to
Listen.
God. Hey, man.
Listen,
You got your R. Kelly CD?
bruh. H-Town, Silk, Jodeci.
12 play?
Who you-
112.
What you 112? What a play is 12? What you talking about? Drew Hill? You don't know nothing about that little baby face. Marvin Gaye, Luther Vandross, Little Anita set this party off right.
Come on.
Y'all don't know. I said in church, judge your mama. I'm going to live this life. But no, we're going to enjoy, and be
There it
back
is.
ready.
Mike Pruitt. That's what
All right,
I'm
signing off. God bless you. Until next time. Peace out. Hey, Shawnee. Hey, Aunt Rosie. Love you guys.
Peace, y'all.